The Amazing Digital Circus final was, well, there were a lot of issues with it. One of my main issues with it is the purple rabbit himself that everyone seems to thirst over for some reason. Jax. He was a fine character.
I mean, it's alright,
He was deep, but I had to really dig deep to find what I felt made him a deep character, which is not what I feel like writing should be. I don't mean to go on a bit of a rant here, but I feel like writing, or at least you should make it a tiny bit blatant, or I might just be an idiot. Jax has plenty of issues when it comes to character writing. I wish Goosework made changes. To be clear here, I'm not asking in a masterclass of writing that, like, Shakespeare himself would be jealous of. I'm just saying, in my opinion, some things about Jax should have been changed. Maybe, like, how he was redeemed, or how others saw him might have made his character writing more understandable, more relatable, and possibly even better. I know I might sound crazy, but I swear this is what my thoughts are. My main issue is how little time they gave Jax to flesh out his character. Multiple episodes were given to each character to flesh them out. Some I could think off the top of my head are Gangle during episode 4, Kinger during episode 3, Pomni during mainly episode 1 and 2, and Kane during episode 8. The same issue might occur with Zubul and Ragatha, though I feel like throughout the show they were still given moments where they were fleshed out, but that was just spread out in between each episode. Jax is the only outlier in this. Episode 6 was supposed to be Jax's episode, but I feel like personally it did a terrible job as its attempt.
You are my playthings, and I get joy out of making you suffer.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Didn't give us a lot of explanation on why he might have been acting like that, leading the finale of the series to be bloated, to be trying to stuff all the stuff that should have been from episode 6, like what we should have at least sort of learned in episode 6, to be stuffed into the last act or the final. A character can be a horrible person and can be redeemed or have at least redeeming qualities. Some characters are meant to be jerks through the whole series, yet can still be likable and be forgiven properly. So please allow me to compare him to some other characters in pieces of media I like. To be clear, I do like Digital Circus as a show. It's nice. I like it. However, I feel like just Jax was handled poorly, blah blah blah. I've said that like 5 times. I'm repeating myself. The script is going off the wall.
I am a fucking architect. Goddamn, I'm just not selling shit furniture because someone won't get on their fat fucking ass and help me.
Huge spoilers for the Backrooms movie if you have not already seen it. And I'm talking huge spoilers. I'm going to be talking about basically the entire movie. Clark, the main character of the Backrooms movie, is pretty normal, or as normal as he can be for most of the film. Being a dude down on his luck after his wife divorced him, he often went to therapy to talk about his issues. While being an architect, Clark works at a crappy furniture store while also living in the store due to him still having to pay for his wife's house. The issue weighs on him a lot, and we can clearly see that. Bills are crashing down on him for the store as well. We know what his problem is from the very beginning of the movie, ever since we were introduced to him during the first therapy scene, and why he's struggling, making his eventual dive or crash out or whatever you want to call it all the more understandable. When Clark eventually discovers the Backrooms during the beginning of the movie, he feels this sense of belonging. He wanders around aimlessly until he's chased out, but then After this first encounter with the monster, Clark doesn't exactly know what to do. He talks to, or attempts to talk to, his therapist, Mary. He describes the back rooms as being like...
It's like, imagine describing a dog to someone who's never seen one before and then asking them to draw it. They might get some things right, but there's no way they get everything right. The devil's in the details. So, from a distance, you look at it, you think you're seeing a dog, but then you look closer. Why are you looking at me like that?
Mary, his therapist, despite being someone who wants to help people, no matter who she is, obviously, and I would not blame anyone, thinks Clark is absolutely insane, adding to the already laundry list of problems he already has going on into his life as they stack on top of each other. So, in this delusion of making sure that what he saw was real, in order to prove the backrooms itself was real, he drags 2 employees and their camera into the backrooms. He doesn't describe it a lot to them. He tries to play it off as being normal, like he already knows what it is. He goes through the wall of the store naturally, while the employees react with a shocked expression, which you probably should if you go through a wall. He ultimately, despite offering to pay them more, gets both of his employees killed. This is what I think marks the point of no return for Clark. He is now stuck in a maze of nostalgia that's wrapped itself around Clark's mind. An important moment will happen during this part. He will see a copy, or as we know as, the still lives of his ex-wife. Skip a couple of minor scenes and Mary, his therapist, being worried about Clark since he hasn't been appearing to the daily therapy meetings or whatever. She would drive to his store in order to check on him, in order to make sure that he is still okay and hasn't done anything to his mental being or himself. We know that this specific part of the movie takes place months after Clark gets his employees killed, because bills are stacked on the floor. Clark has clearly been either ignoring them, or at least at this point of the film, it is ambiguous if he has actually been murdered. So, eventually, Mary would enter the back rooms. She would look for Clark, and something I noticed when I was watching the film, Clark was looking around the back rooms at the beginning in curious manner. He was looking at it like he wanted to discover more. He was wandering around it. Mary had this sense of fear in her eyes that was almost the exact opposite of what how Clark felt. He felt like he belonged. He felt like he had this sense of familiarity with the backrooms and its creatures, while Mary was disturbed by whatever was surrounding her at the moment, even if it was just a simple painting or maybe even just furniture. Eventually, after a long drawn-out scene of Mary wandering through the back rooms, she would find disturbing scribbles on the wall, clearly written by an insane person, by a madman. Clark would eventually appear. In this specific shot, he looks like the image of SpongeBob hiding behind the potted plant in Squidward's house. Clark was attempt to explain to Mary that, basically trying to calm her down, but it is very clear that Clark is like not himself anymore, if that makes sense. He's talking detached. It's not his normal self that's like angry, or he's talking like he has no emotions whatsoever. Clark being this new person, pretty much being this man driven by almost insanity, would kidnap Mary, choking her out until she passed out, and when she woke up, she was tied to a chair in some sick replica of a house. The conversation that happens during this specific scene gets slowly more twisted. Clark is clearly far gone at this point. He seems irredeemable. He's talking about eating the different still lives that are around him, and even doing a twist role play of the night his wife left him, which I forgot to mention is something that happened at the start of the movie while he was in therapy. Mary basically uses a role play of her being his wife as a way for Clark to cope with his wife's divorce, which is now twisted on its head in this specific scene. Clark becomes very, and I mean very, unlikable. Even if it's out of nowhere to some audiences, it is clear that one thing has happened and Clark has gone way too far. He is unlikable to the point where he's downright antagonistic.
I said someone has to get off her fat ass and work around here.
Just because you didn't get to be an architect.
I am a fucking architect. I'm just stuck selling shit furniture because someone won't get off her fat fucking ass and help me.
I'm not your wife.
Stay in character. Stay in character.
I've never even met her.
Stay in character.
Fuck you!
This would all come to a dramatic climax where Mary would point out Clark's problem after finally figuring it out. Why his wife left him, why he's down in the dumps, and why he's stuck here acting like an insane man.
Fuck you!
What did you say?
You want to know the real reason your wife left you? It wasn't the drinking, or the stumbling home at all hours, or the rage. It was the whining. Nothing's ever your fault, is it? You drink too much? Blame your job. You hate your job? Blame the world. You get kicked out of the house? Blame your wife. You attack me and tie me up? Blame your brain. You are your fucking brain, you dipshit.
This specific moment would make Clark think about his actions, make him think about why he was here, make him think about everything. He would really think. And then, in tears of anger, he would say that he doesn't want to change. He wants to be the same person. He's scared. He's scared of making a difference to himself because all he's known is that version of himself for his entire life.
I don't think I want to change.
He was scared to make a difference. He would realize how crazy he was acting and would free Mary until eventually getting a bite taken out of him, like a big McDonald's Big Mac. And I know that might sound like a bit of a like joking about serious events, but he literally gets eaten, bro. I don't know what you want me to say.
It's just the way we're wired.
This scene, however, shows how Clark was manipulated by the nostalgia maze that is the backrooms. He was manipulated to think he'd be happier here, to think he'd be better off in this nostalgia and this just wanting to have everything stay the same. He was stuck because he didn't want to change. This shows how characters being jerks need at least a somewhat clear reason to be a jerk. Clark had one. He had a reason. This didn't come out of nowhere, even if some audiences think that. He had his life going downhill. His insanity was just amplified by the backroom slowly corrupting him and twisting his mind with nostalgia of the past. And after all that, he was unable to escape that nostalgia, ultimately being killed and his body left rotting in that maze. Anyway, I think it's now time to talk about...
Let me break it down for you, Mark.
Omni-Man is one of the most famous characters in recent times. This is for a very good reason. He is written really good, and they somehow managed to improve on him from the comics in the show. But during season 1, we do see how messed up he is, and like how messed up Omni-Man is and how twisted he is. In the first episode, though, during the beginning, we see him as DC's Superman. We see him as this righteous figure that can't do, like, it's kind of hard to imagine doing wrong. He is a hero. We see him as a hero for most of the episode. He tells Mark when he is a kid that he comes from a righteous planet called Viltrum, which was just a lie. However, at the end of episode 1, he kills the rip-off Justice League known as the Guardians of the Globe. The rest of the season is just Omni-Man hiding behind this facade, the hero known as Omni-Man. Though that's what it is, a facade. It isn't real. What he really is a Viltrumite named Nolan, a conqueror of worlds. Then during the season's finale, it all cracks. During the finale of season 1 of Invincible, Nolan's facade is broken over time. He goes off the deep end, if you will, killing people in front of his son, calling his wife a pet. He tries to get his son to join him and tries to get basically everyone under him, like everyone under the Viltrum Empire. But Mark fights back. He uses Mark as a weapon instead of using him or talking to him like it was his son. He tried, but it didn't fail, so he went back to his old Viltrumite ways. He was detached during this whole sequence, showing how little human life means to a Viltrumite like him. They're insects. Then, he says that infamous line that was across the internet for a year. God, I hate it!
Think, Mark! You'll outlast every fragile, insignificant being on this planet. You'll live to see this world crumble to dust and blow away. Everyone and everything you know will be gone. What will you have after 500 years?
You, Dad. I still have you.
This is a no. It's the moment that Nolan's humanity finally breaks through, where the Omni-Man persona becomes more of Nolan than Nolan will ever be ever again. Eventually, during the next 2 seasons of Invincible, Nolan would change. In season 2, it would show his guilt and his balance between still living or drifting into a black hole to hopefully end it. After some funny shenanigans with the Thraxans, he is captured, meeting a newly buffed up Alan. When talking, he says the line that shows he can't go back to not having the humanity he grew when he was on Earth.
I think I miss my wife.
Season 4 would show his growth as he would return to Earth, and he would attempt to apologize to Debbie. While in the comics, Debbie would forgive him. In the show, it's different. Debbie, she rejected Nolan. The old Nolan might have reacted different, more angry, not harming Debbie, just angrily storming off. But this new Nolan knew what he did wrong. He flew into space. He knew what he did wrong, so he accepted that Debbie hated him, trying to cling on. When it wasn't working, he stopped. Instead of storming off, he reacted calmly and left. This shows how some mean characters can break through a facade and be redeemed. Even if they do something bad or downright horrible and don't deserve it, they can still be possibly redeemed. Much like Omni-Man, Mark and Oliver, despite not entirely still trusting him, love him. Nolan still tries his hardest to still be a good person, trying to redeem himself, trying to be a good father and wife and
Are you sure?
husband again.
Fatty, adopted fatty, no parents.
Okay, I might sound a bit insane when I say this, but Wheatley might be closest in character in terms of Jax and his feelings. Wheatley is definitely interesting because somehow the geniuses at Valve freaking made this little tiny British ball complex. At the beginning of Portal 2, Wheatley is meant to help. He does help, though it isn't what it seems. He manipulates the player character, Shell, to get what he wants, yet again using a facade to get what he wants to be in control. Be in control not just himself, but everything. His true self will come to light, wanting to test like GLaDOS, but being too much of a stupid idiot to do it. And the only reason he does it is because he feels a rush when he tests. It's not out of curiosity like GLaDOS, it's because it makes him feel good. He just likes the feeling of having a successful test. Though, one of his most important parts is his want to not be a moron. He was built to be a nagging voice to harm GLaDOS. He was built to be a moron. He is meant to be a moron, even if he doesn't want to be. Not only does he want to test, he wants to prove that he isn't what people made him to be, an idiot to harm a genius. He can't come to terms with what he is, keeping it locked at the back of his head, not wanting his true self to be who he is. He doesn't want to show it to other people because he knows, even if he doesn't like it, he is a moron.
I am not a moron!
Yes, you are. You're a moron they built to make me an idiot.
Well, how about now? Now who's a moron? Could a moron hunt you into this pit? Ah!
I think my favorite part of Wheatley, however, is he is not redeemable near the end of the game. He tried to kill Shell and GLaDOS multiple times. He became an unapologetic jerk
Kill yourself.
since he got control of the facility. When he learned about the robots that are Atlas and Peabody, he decided he doesn't need Shell anymore, even after Shell helped him get him to the place he is.
But I don't need you anymore. I found 2 little robots back here, built specifically for testing.
In the end, Wheatley can't be killed. He gets corrupted, with cores that are meant to ruin emotions due to being corrupted themselves. Wheatley is obviously not happy by this, and attempts to kill Shell with bombs and deadly neurotoxin. This happens during the part where he kills you.
Well, this is the part where he kills us.
Hello! This is the part where I kill you.
Though his efforts are futile, as he is sucked into the deep echoes of space alone, with maybe one of the corrupted cores. In the post-credit scene, he tries to apologize. It feels empty though. Like he's doing it for his own personal gain and barely changing his tone. So, you might have forgotten, but this video is supposed to be about Jax from The Amazing Digital Circus. So this is the part where I compare Jax to all these characters without either being positive or negative.
Get ready for the next battle.
The first character is Clark. While the two of them are almost entirely different with problems nothing alike, Clark shows how some can lose themselves in a place they don't recognize, which is one of the things that he has alike with Jax. Jax is stuck in a place he thought wasn't real. When he eventually got this persona of being a giant asshole, it wasn't entirely his fault. The circus gave him the chance to really show his negative traits. Traits that he still had in the real world, but were simply expanded on, like his toxic masculinity, his temper, and his rudeness. They were always there. They just weren't able to be expanded upon. Does that sound familiar at all? Clark basically had the same thing. He was trapped in the back rooms, and the back rooms allowed his negative traits to really come to light. They both accidentally found themselves in a scenario where the negative traits of their characters can grow and expand thanks to their surroundings and the people surrounding them. So, what does Clark have that Jax doesn't? He has a very, very clear right to be a jerk. His life is horrible, and we learn that from the minute he appears on screen. While Jax does have problems, he's hiding them up until basically the series finale. It doesn't really come up front for the average viewer who might be watching casually and might not be into the fandom space. While Clark has blatant issues. His marriage, his money, and not being able to do what he wanted to do, to be an architect. While Jax has to take too long for this to happen, though taking almost the series finale in order for him and for us to see how expanded and how tragic his life might be, but we never know that. We never know it until, like I said, basically the series finale. Clark is not Jax, and Jax is not Clark. They are not similar. They are both just people who have their negative traits expanded on due to the environment around them.
Get ready for the next battle.
No one is next to compare with Jax. They are both supposed to be redeemed by the end or at some point in the series. And while this happens for both of them, Jax in the end gets to express who he is and is given forgiveness for what he did to everyone in the circus, even if it isn't entirely deserved. It doesn't feel as natural as Omni-Man, if that makes any sense. Nolan grew as a person. He grew to outlive the bad things he's done, while Jax keeps them bottled up until someone like Pomni lets him express himself. While Nolan goes on that journey alone, making it obvious that he really feels guilty about the bad things he's done, while Jax can't even let out a single apology. While people like Jax might actually need someone to show them who they truly are, and that's fine. If you're like that, that's fine. I just wish it was executed better. Like Jax realizing what he did wrong to people. He might have guilt. But if Gooseworks wanted to make him redeemed, or at least somewhat redeemed, I feel like Gooseworks should have made Jax at least apologize to Pomni. Not everyone in the circus, just Pomni. Because he was an asshole.
Get ready for the next battle.
Wheatley refuses to accept he was built and designed to be a moron to harm GLaDOS. He's more open about it than Jax being trans, but he is still a moron no matter what he says. He was built to be a moron to harm GLaDOS, and he will be nothing more and nothing less. He's more open about it, but he still refuses to be one, hiding to the point where he believes he's a genius himself, while Jax was insecure about being trans and pushes people away who try to help him and try, or at least attempt, to really let his feelings out. Wheatley had to hide being a moron because he himself didn't want to believe it. Jax had to hide being trans because he himself didn't want to believe it. They both refused to accept it, pushing away anyone who helps them. They both refuse to accept who they truly are, no matter the scenario. Alright, this next part, I really hope the Amazing Digital Circus fandom does not tear me apart limb from limb. So, Wheatley and Jax are surprisingly similar characters. They both refuse to truly apologize. The reason that I have a bigger issue with Jax is because he was written to be this deep and emotional character who refuses to let people get close, and is still written like he was truly redeemed when he never apologized to at least like one person. Gooseworks wrote him like he was fixed after. I mean, I might be LARPing and I might be going crazy, but that's what I was getting from that scene. And God, I hope the Amazing Digital Circus fandom doesn't freaking tear my arms off because I'm saying some heresy right now. But Wheatley, I like Wheatley more because he just accepts it. He knew he was being purposely evil. He accepted it, unlike Jax, who hid his true self. He tried to apologize, but it was for more of his own selfish gang than really anything else. Wheatley showed it front and center, and Jax was written like he was supposed to be redeemed when he wasn't. Jax is not meant to be redeemed. He just cried. That's it. I'm sorry. Please don't kill me. But it's true. You know it's true. Well, I'm finally done recording this. If you didn't know, this video, the first part of it, up to like the Nolan think part, that was recorded like 3 weeks ago, and I've been procrastinating and not wanting to record the rest of this. So to the 3 people who either saw this or made it to the end, thank you for watching. And if you don't agree with me, that's fine. Yet again, it's meant to be constructive criticism. If I get hate comments, I get hate comments, bro. Keep your own opinions. That's how we make the internet and the world really like special, because people have the right to have their own opinions. Me personally, I just think that Jax, while still being a decently written character, has some flaws, which is fine. No one can write a perfect character unless you're the dude who wrote Wheatley, because Jesus Christ, I love him so much. He's just British. I feel like if I go to Britain, I'm just gonna expect like a bunch of Wheatleys there. I don't know why. I mean, I just enjoy critiquing the media that I love. Also, this is our first video. The edits you're seeing is made by one of my friends. You'll see his name or his YouTube name in the credits. Also, one last thing before I go. At least the Digital Circus finale wasn't as bad as Stranger Things Season 5 or Game of Thrones, because those sucked, and that's probably a video for like a whole nother time, bro. But if you were like watching that stuff and you were like excited for it, it was a letdown. So, I mean, in case I don't see you, I mean, I hope you just have a nice night or whatever. Day, morning. Yeah, and goodbye.